Hello, hello, hello. This is Spitball Sports. My name is Brian, the handsome gentleman to my right. That's Jacob. As you can tell, I'm an Eagles fan. The handsome boy in the blue, he's a Giants fan. Our friendship can get a little interesting at times. Like we're kind of back and forth, left and right, up and down, north and south, east and west. Last time we together, last time we watched a game together in the playoffs, our Eagles beat the Giants 7-38. I had a freaking fantastic time. I was cheering left and right. I was going up and down. Buddy, how did you feel watching that game for you?
Well, I know you had a good night. I was
Mhm.
happy watching you cheer for your team. But you know what they say, let's not dwell in the past. It's a new year, new season, new teams. All right.
Teams.
So let's talk about the current, the now, this year's
All right.
games. Okay.
All right. All right. I like that. I like that positive attitudes. Your team didn't do so great, but okay. Present, forward, ever forward.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This
Thank you.
Thursday night football game, we have the Detroit Lions facing the Green Bay Packers at home. Currently, the Lions are 2-1. Packers are also 2-1, but they have a lead in the NFC North. They're on top. They're the top dogs. Packers are top dogs.
Right.
Now, with the Detroit Lions, they currently beat the reigning Super Bowl champs, the freaking Chiefs. I'm gonna say it right now, that holding call at the end, that was a bullshit call.
Yeah.
I was heartbroken watching that Super Bowl game, dude. Like I almost punched that TV. We were at a friend's house, me and you.
Yep.
We're at a friend's house watching the Super Bowl game. He's a freaking Cowboys fan.
Regrettably.
We both hate him at this point. I mean, we both hate him, but like
What are you
I
gonna
was
do?
heartbroken. But
I
I
mean,
am so glad the Lions beat him. They beat the
yeah,
Chiefs, right?
it was a heartbreaking loss for you guys. You guys were up. I feel like the game was in the basket for you guys. Just let it slip. But Lions pulling off an upset again against the Chiefs, just like they ended their season last year against the Packers. Big upset win that they pulled off.
Dude, they were on a roll. They beat an Aaron Rodgers led Packers. Aaron Rodgers, who
That's
ended his career with the Packers and against the loss to the Lions. They're not the Bears. He doesn't own the Packers, or sorry, he doesn't own the Lions like he owns the Bears.
right.
But at the same time, he moved on forward to the New York Jets. Unfortunately, had a career-ending injury. I'm hoping he comes back.
Rough one.
I think he's great for the sport. What do you think?
I hope he does too. I don't know if he will. Getting an Achilles tear in his what is he in his 40s now?
Yeah, he's up there.
That's gonna
He's
be
up there.
that's gonna be hard to come back from. But I mean, he said, like he said, anything can happen. So he can come back. I mean, he even kind of alluded to the potential if they make it to the postseason.
Mhm.
If he's up for it, he might be back. But we'll see how it goes. If the Jets end up going to the postseason, which right now it's looking like that is not going to happen.
Not with Zach Wilson at the lead. Like it's looking horrible. I know Colin Kaepernick recently sent a letter out to Colin Kaepernick, who's a very controversial quarterback. He was great for the 49ers, had a whole lot of rushing touchdowns. Some controversial history. Just leave it at that.
You know,
He hasn't played for a
if
couple years.
we're taking a throwback quarterback for the Jets, I want to roll with RG3. I say it's his time to return. I want him for the Jets.
He had a very unfortunate ending with the Jets. He for rookie season, he was off to a hot start. He was killing it. Unfortunately, had that terrible ACL injury.
Yeah,
It seemed like no team had an answer for him until that injury, and then all of a sudden
yeah,
they kind of figured him out. He seemed like an even better Michael Vick. Like besides the wow history,
yeah. Right.
let's forget
Well,
about that.
sure.
Besides that, like he was looking like the next running top dog, right?
He looked amazing. Like you can go back and watch old highlights. Just the way that he moves,
Mhm,
so athletic. Like
mhm.
he's jumping in the air, throwing passes as he's falling out of bounds. Just crazy stuff, which
Yeah,
obviously explains how he can end up with a lower body injury.
right.
But it'd be nice to see him return. It's not going to happen, but it's a dream, and it would be nice to see.
what about Mark Sanchez? Like, do you think he'll come back with that? He's kind of redeem himself with that butt fumble, or like even like who knows? Like he's like, hey, bro, like if Aaron Rodgers, he's like almost 40 years old, he can come back. Mark Sanchez, fellow
Why
Mexican
not?
quarterback at the USC, why not? Like, hey, I want to come back. The butt fumble, let's like just do a ping fumble at this time. Like, what do we do?
There you go. Get some more representation in there.
Get some more
The Jets.
representation. Yeah, let's go.
There you
And
go.
even okay, what about Aaron Rodgers or not Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre?
You know what? If we're going back, let's go back all the way. Brett Favre, why not?
Why
When
not?
he start in the 80s,
Hmm.
let's do it.
I mean, he might feel like he has something to improve against Aaron Rodgers. Like he's like, hey, if I handed him the reins in the Packers and he only won one, let me win one with the Jets. Let's go back. I know I had a terrible outing against the Vikings with the
Yep.
Vikings. Granted, Sean Payton with those targeting bounties, he seemed like he was Django Fett, the bounty hunter. Like, what's up with that?
I don't know, but speaking about the Vikings, maybe that's Rogers' next destination next year. He'll be taking over Kirk Cousins
Kirk
when
Cousins.
he leaves the team.
You think he'll leave the team?
I don't know. I think he's kind of ingrained there. I think he'll stay.
Think he'll stay?
I do.
He's had a great outing this year. Like he's definitely performed. He's had a tough couple years there. Like he's been consistent. He's one of those consistent quarterbacks you kind of forget about. Maybe because he's kind of white and he's not like super athletic, but
And maybe
he's
that's
thrown.
it.
Maybe that's it, bro. But he's thrown over 300 yards every freaking game.
Yep.
Justin Jefferson has caught over 100 yards every game.
Yeah. I
Like
mean,
I mean,
last year too, balling out,
mhm,
you know, huge, like historic comebacks.
mhm.
Um, it's just the defense for the Vikings that's really holding them back. Like they're the best 0-3 team that I've seen that I
Mhm,
can remember in recent history.
mhm. Didn't the
Into this Thursday night football game.
all right Thursday night football game? Let's get into it. We have the Detroit Lions visiting the Green Bay Packers at home.
Yep. Yep.
Now,
Yep.
like you mentioned earlier, Detroit Lions, they beat the Green Bay Packers in the 2022 season against an Aaron Rodgers led Packers. That was
Yes.
a fantastic game. That was a huge upset, probably for the Packers. And that's probably what drew the dagger into Aaron Rodgers getting kicked out of the Packers. That's neither here nor there. Like that's its own story. But they beat
Absolutely.
him 20-16. Now, sure, the Lions are on the road. But let's be honest, this isn't the same old Lions. This isn't the embarrassing I'm gonna put a bag on my head Lions. Like they're off to a hot start.
Yeah.
Now, Jared Goff has been going off. He's had a hot start. He's had 5 touchdown passes in the last couple games. And their wide receiver, Amon Ross St. Brown, the Yu-Gi-Oh card, Amon Ra, he's had over 100 freaking yards every freaking game. He's popping off. He's catching all the balls.
Right.
Like insane games. And now between their running backs, Gibbs and Montgomery, they both also have had pretty great games. Now, I don't know why Gibbs hasn't been giving a couple more touches. I don't know what Dan Campbell's going on about. I'm thinking honestly, he wants to keep him as like a safety card. He's like, hey, let's not give Gibbs so many touches. Let's just think. Let's have everyone think Montgomery's our running back. He's our star guy, and then Gibbs is just gonna come around and just gonna pop off in the second half of the season. He's just gonna go off. That's what I'm thinking. What do you think?
It could be. It could be a longevity thing, kind of just working his way in
Hmm.
to the running group. But I mean, he balled out. Like the first game that he was in there, I was bummed out watching him make some huge runs, and they just pull him out. Um, kind of a letdown, but I'm
Hmm.
excited to see him pick it up the rest of the season. I'm sure he's going to get more and more touches as they go.
I think
Um,
me and you both had him as an anytime rushing touchdown. Like I had him for sure. Like, did you?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Like
I had
he
him.
would go on those runs, and then all of a sudden, like he got pulled out. We're like, what the hell, bro?
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was there. How about Montgomery? How's he looking for this Thursday night football game?
So he did have an injury before the game. Let's see here. It was a thigh injury. Yeah, so he did have a thigh injury. He was out for the previous game, but he's looking like he's going to come back. He was out for the Falcons game. They still won that game. It's looking like he's going to come back. He's probably going to be running back one still. Again,
Yeah.
I think Dan Campbell's thinking like, hey, I'm going to keep Gibbs as my secret weapon. He's definitely coming back for this game for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, talking about the run game, let's talk about Packers run game.
Mm-hmm.
Their first game, Aaron Jones, he
Mm-hmm.
went off. I had it here, but he went crazy. He got 41 rushing yards on 9 carries and 86 receiving yards on 2 receptions against the Bears, which is fantastic.
He was insane. So I accidentally drafted him for for my fantasy league. I meant to click on Joe Mixon. I got Aaron Jones, but like you said, he had 2 rushing touchdown games
Yeah.
that game. And unfortunately, he pulled his like what happened? He pulled his hamstring the last running touchdown.
Yep. Yep. As he was running in the end zone, looked like he pulled his hamstring. Um, doesn't sound like it's too serious of an injury, but I mean, he's been out the last 2 games and is
Yeah.
questionable going into this game. Um, no word yet if he is for sure going to start or not. I'm up in the air about it. But if he does start, I would say we can definitely put him down for getting some serious rushing yards.
Yeah.
Um, I'd be pretty comfortable putting him down to get a rushing touchdown as well. Anytime touchdown score.
And like you said, so the Lions last time they played against the Falcons, Bijan Robinson, who's a rookie running back, he had a hell of a game that game. He had a lot of yards. No one expected him to be this good. Like they thought they projected him top 10 for sure, but they did not expect him to be this good as a rookie running back. So now you have Aaron Jones potentially coming back. He could definitely have quite a showing against the Lions. I know Aiden Hutchinson. He's had 2 sacks so far this year, so hopefully he can get it picked up. Show that the Lions are a top defense against the league. So hopefully they can get something going.
Yes. Yes. Talking on the defense, the Packers' run defense against the Falcons was not good. Believe 211 rushing yards allowed, an average of 4.7 yards per carry. And then they allowed 237 receiving yards on top of that. So really bad against the Falcons. I mean, they played well with their rush defense against their other 2 games, but that was not good. And leading into this game, it's kind of a big question mark on how they'll do against the Lions. Lions, they have not been putting up very many rushing yards.
Mhm,
They're averaging like 111, 112 rushing yards per game right now.
mhm,
Um, we'll see if Montgomery's able to show up. If he's cleared to start tomorrow,
mhm.
him and Gibbs together, they might surpass that. But run defense, going into this, I'm kind of in favor of the Packers.
Okay. All right. Well, so with all that being said, we'll get into our best bets for the week for Thursday night football game. Let's get into our best bets. So my best bets, I have Lions money line. So they have being off to a hot start. I know they're going against the Packers at home. I still think that they are going to take it. A little fun fact: the Detroit Lions have won their last 3 games against the Packers. So give me Detroit Lions money line. Next one, I think I'm going to take the under 45.5. Now this is a short week. They both played Sunday games, so obviously they're going to have that Thursday night football game. They might be a little bit banged up. They've had quite a Sunday battle. So let's take under 45.5. Let's take the under. Let's hope that not too many scoring touchdowns. I think a lot of the defense is going to show up and they're going to play out and not allow too many mistakes. Now, the next line, I'm thinking Amon-Ra St. Brown. Let's give him 60 yards receiving. He's been scoring over 100 yards every game. 100 yards every game. Like,
Yeah,
that's insane, right?
I'd say that would be a safe. Honestly, I think
Mhm.
the line's set at 72 and a half
Yeah,
for his receiving yards. I would even be comfortable running with just that, the 72 and a half over.
75. Oh, there you go. So let's say this 60 yards if you want to play it safe. Let's hit him with the over. If like you know, want to throw a little bit spice on there. You want to be risky. You
That's what
got
I'm
ten
about.
dollars down. This is like you've been down for the week. Throw $10 on there. Throw the over on there. Now my risky bet. Now picked him up as my fantasy tight end, Laporta. He scored a touchdown last game. Laporta scored a touchdown last game. The first game I saw him, he's obviously a rookie. It's his first year in the NFL. He had a lot of blocks. He had a lot of blocks that first game. He scored a touchdown in his last game. I think he's a dark horse in the league. Not too many people know about him, obviously. He's going to be overlooked. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's going to be definitely the main defensive target along with Montgomery and Gibbs. I think he might sneak in a touchdown there with Jared Goff. He might just throw one to him. And then my last one, obviously, is no brainer. Jared Goff, 225 yards. Let's go, Jared Goff, 225 yards. He has been scoring. He's averaged, I think, 273 yards the first 3 games. He went up against the first. Oh, sorry. He's going up against a hurt Packers defense. I think 225 is no brainer for me.
Yeah, I say that's not bad. Line was set somewhere around 240 something for Goff, which I'd be a little hesitant about that.
Yeah.
225, I'm cool with. I say he's probably going to put that up against the Packers defense.
Let me ask you this. Jair Alexander, I know he's kind of injured. He was injured before. Is he expected to play for this game?
He's questionable going into this. Just like two of their offensive playmakers, one that we talked about, Aaron Jones, and then another one that we haven't talked about yet is Watson. Now, he hasn't had a snap yet this season. No. It's looking like he may be making his debut tomorrow. He said that he's excited to start. Coaching staff is still not 100% yet. If he's going to start or not, he hasn't been cleared. But, if we're going to listen to him, it's probably going to be his debut here. That's going to change the offense a little bit here. If Watson is able to go out there and perform paired with the other guys that have been doing pretty decent, Dobbs have been putting up some decent numbers last week for the Packers. And then Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed is the other one that's been looking pretty good. As far as my picks, I'm going to have to go Packers money line.
Oh, okay. All right. We're a little split. Hey, Thursday night football,
split.
Little split. Okay.
Little split.
You're going Packers.
Yes. Reason being, Jordan Love, yes, he's been having to take over the reins. He's the third quarterback in 30 years for the Packers.
Yeah.
But he's been doing decent so far. He didn't have a great game against the Saints. The first 3 quarters were pretty rough. Overthrows, underthrows, slipped on turf while he was making a throw. Just not great. But at the end, marched him down the field, started throwing bombs, led him to a comeback win against the Saints.
He showed a little bit of clutchness, dude. He's showing a little bit of clutchness, kind of like the Aaron Rodgers, almost
showed
like,
a little bit.
Like, hey, like he's like, hey, he's gone, but I'm the new man right here, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers was watching that and was pretty proud of him for those.
Yeah.
The 2 games prior, he played pretty decent as well. He doesn't look terrible. If he gets his offensive weapons, Christian Watson, if Aaron Jones is good to return, I'm thinking that the Packers are going to take this, especially with the Lions not putting up as many rushing yards as it is. I'm going to say that's going to be a factor that goes into this.
Okay.
The Packers hold that if they're able to, hold the passing offense to maybe under 250 yards, and they hold the rushing to what the Lions have been already rocking with at 110 yards or so. I think the Packers have a really good shot of taking this game.
Okay. All right.
Touching on the over as well. I am with you there. I think this game.
Okay.
I think this game's going to go under.
Yeah.
Just looking at the past games that the Lions have had, they've been limited. I think 2 of their last 3 games have gone under.
Yeah, it's been pretty. It hasn't been a blowout game for them so far. It's all been pretty close.
Right. Just the game with the Seahawks that was higher scoring.
Yeah, that was abnormal. That was abnormal for sure.
Yeah, kind of an oddity for them. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm cool with the under for this game as well.
Okay.
I'm under St. Brown, like we talked about. I'm just saying if you want to put a little bit of risk in there, not
Mhm.
much risk, is 72.5 over
Yeah.
yards. I'm pretty comfortable with that. Laporta was another one that I had taken note of, like you talked about,
Mhm.
routinely getting a lot of receptions.
Yeah.
Um, Last week, 8 receptions, 84 yards. So, you know, it's starting to get consistent with him. So I'm okay with him as well, where you
I
had pointed
think
out.
for rookie tight end, he's had the most receptions in the first 3 games out of the history in NFL. That's Gronkowski, that's Travis Kelsey, that's every tight end we've seen in the past. Tony Gonzalez, who's possibly the GOAT, he's had the
Yes.
most receptions for a tight end with the Detroit Lions, not the same Detroit Lions team. Like he's pulling up crazy numbers,
Yeah. Balling out.
balling out.
Absolutely. Jaden Reed
Mhm.
is my pick. His over under receiving yards is at 37.5 right now. I'm taking that
Mhm.
over. He hasn't had less than 37 yards receiving so far this season. I'm pretty comfortable taking that over.
Okay.
Um, you know, Actually, Watson is a question mark still. If Watson's not going to make that return, Jaden Reed's going to have more touches. He's going to get a little more yards. Uh, I'm comfortable with the 37.5 over.
All right. Well, that covers the Thursday night football game. I think we gave our best bets. Now let's go. Let's do a little quick dive into these Sunday night football games. We'll start off first with the Falcons versus Jaguars. So I'm thinking the Jaguars money line. Now they're due for a win. They played a total of 9 games in London, so they have some experience going overseas into London. So I don't think they can afford to go 0-3. Like they have to get a win. So I'm taking the Jaguars on this one.
Took the words out of my mouth. They're due for a win. And well, like you talked about, they have a little experience going overseas. Um, I do see the Jaguar offense taking it here against the Falcons.
Mhm.
Um, I'm comfortable with that. I'm not sure about the spread. I'm comfortable with just money line here.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go straight. And then let's see the next game. We got Dolphins and Bills. Now the Dolphins are probably off to the hottest start they have this NFL season. Tua is looking like he's a potential MVP candidate. Tyreek Hill might get the offensive MVP. Like, bro, he's
Well,
popping off, right?
what I will say is, the stats have come out there, become pretty popular.
Yeah.
He is pretty much touchdown for touchdown, pass for pass that he was at this point last season.
Mm,
3-0. However many touchdown passes he has right now, like everything is the same as it was last season. Hopefully, he doesn't have any sort of injuries the next couple of games. If not, they're probably on track to make a deep playoff run.
yeah.
Um, Now, with that being said, I am taking the Dolphins here to cover.
Okay.
I think that they're going to put out against the Bills. I definitely think that they're going to take the game and take it by a margin.
I definitely agree. I think the Bills have been tough to a rocky start. Josh Allen, who's kind of a great quarterback. He's back and forth. He throws a lot of interceptions. He plays out absolute lights out. I know they're playing at home in Buffalo, but I think the fact that the Dolphins off to such a hot start, I'm gonna go Dolphins as well, +3, just to be safe. Why not?
Yep,
Why not? Now the
I'm
next
there.
game we got Steelers and Texans. I think the Texans they definitely surprised me against the Jaguars. That busted my money line. That busted my parlay last week. That was absolute heartbreak.
Me too.
That was a surprise for everyone, right? Like no one expected them to ball out that bad, like that great.
Definitely. Definitely. And every time I tuned in, every time that the Jaguars got a little traction, Texans came right
Mm,
back and answered with another touchdown. They were rocking, man.
yeah.
They have it going. So I mean, for against the Steelers, which an offense that just does not look good, in my
Mhm.
opinion, in any of the games that they've played so far, I'm taking the Texans.
I'm gonna go the same. I'm taking the Texans. I'm gonna take them +3 because they're the underdogs somehow in this. Steelers have been
Somehow.
inconsistent. Somehow, Steelers have been inconsistent. Najee Harris not off to a great start. George Pickens, he had a pretty great game last time, but you just don't know with the Steelers. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Texans. CJ Stroud's looking like the top quarterback of this draft so far.
He does. He does. Richardson looking solid. I
Yeah,
know he was injured
yeah.
last week. I'm not sure how he's looking going into this week. What do you know about that?
I think he's still out. So he did get a concussion. He got 2 rushing touchdowns last game. So last
Balling
time he
out.
got 2 rushing touchdowns, he was balling out. He's looking like the guy, like potentially next to Cam Newton, but he did suffer concussion, so he's in concussion protocol. I'm pretty sure he's going to be out this game. So uh, we'll touch up on that a little bit later on. But yeah, so far CJ Stroud looking like the top guy. Obviously Bryce Young struggled a little bit in with the Panthers, but go CJ Stroud so far, top guy for the quarterback draft class.
Great. And now talking about a little later on, Rams versus Colts.
Mm.
How are we feeling here?
Dude, so obviously I'm an Eagles fan. Gardner Minshew, he played against the Cowboys when Jalen Hurts was hurt. He scored over 300 yards, or he got over 300 yards. Obviously, they lost against the Cowboys, but he's got some Minshew magic. He's got some Minshew magic. Rams have been off to a hot start. No one expected Puka to be the star wide receiver while Cooper's out. So, on let's go Rams money line. I think Rams have been off to a hot start. You still have Puka trying to get off to the best rookie wide receiver stats. So let's go Rams.
I'm going Rams as well. That was my pick,
Mm,
pretty much for the same reasons. And I mean, to be honest, I have a little more faith in Richardson than I
mm,
do over Minshew
yeah.
to lead the Colts. So with him being out, I'm all for the Rams with this game.
Okay. So we got the next game, the Vikings and Panthers. Vikings are -4 on this one. I'm gonna take the Vikings. They have to get their first win.
Yes,
Is this horrible? Like, what other quarterback? Kirk Cousins has gotten over 300 yards. His star wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, has gotten over 100 yards consistently each game, and they're 0-3. Like, what other team has gone off to that hot start, yet somehow like their defense keeps letting them down, right?
I'd be interested to know the stats if any other team has had that duo
Hmm.
uh, and has gone 0-3. I mean, they're the
Yeah,
best 0-3 team that I've seen in recent memory, kind of like we mentioned earlier,
yeah,
um, talking about how great Kirk Cousins is looking.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I see them definitely getting the win here. The Panthers, I mean, they're still rebuilding, right?
yeah.
With Bryce Young
Hmm.
as their quarterback. Um, I have the Vikings to cover this game. I think they're going to
Vikings
win
cover.
it
Okay,
by a margin.
all right. Let's see here. What else? So we got the Bucks and the Buccaneers and the Saints. I think the Buccaneers are going to bounce back. So they got their ass whooped last game by the Eagles. Obviously, Baker Mayfield didn't look too great. He got I think like less than 200 yards receiving. He threw for less than 200 yards. I think they're going to bounce back. I'm not sure about Derek Carr. I know he was injured in the previous game, and we know Jameis Winston. He's as long as yeah, he loves to eat them W's, but he's a cringy, not great quarterback. He was with the Buccaneers previously. Didn't do so great there. Obviously, he got traded to the Saints. So I'm gonna take the Buccaneers money line on this one.
Me too. That's what I had as well. Pretty much for the same reason. Question mark with Derek Carr if he returns and how he'll perform when he returns.
Hmm.
If he'll be at 100%. He's not the best quarterback, but he's serviceable and he's better than Winston. So
Yeah,
he's what they would need. I do have the Bucks taking this game.
Bucks taking this game. All right. What do we have for the next game?
Well, I never like rooting for the Commanders or the Eagles, but I have to pick a side here.
Okay.
I am
Okay.
going. I am going to Eagles. They're a better team. They haven't really unlocked everything that they have
Mm,
this season. It feels like they haven't been performing like they did last season.
yeah.
But but I think they'll start opening up as the season progresses. Like I said, definitely a better team than the Commanders. I have them taking it.
So it's definitely been a little bit of a rocky start. So unfortunately, once you go to the Super Bowl, you tend to lose your coaches. So we lost our offensive coach and defensive coach. Obviously, Gannon. I personally feel like he threw that Super Bowl, had some really bad coverage blows, but now he's with the Cardinals. He's got that fire in his gut. I think he's taking the bus or something about that. The bus. Uh, I like the Eagles on this one for sure. Like the Commanders, they gave us our first loss last year, so that was a little bit difficult to swallow. Somehow the Commanders always find a way to beat the
They
Eagles.
find they find
They
a way.
find a way, bro, and it's absolutely frustrating. But it's hard to root against your own team, even with your own money. So I'm gonna take the Eagles -8. They're 8.5. So I'm gonna take the Eagles -8.5. Let's continue the run game. Let's continue Swift absolutely running lights out. AJ Brown, this man is due for a touchdown. He threw my parlay last time against the Buccaneers. He scored over 100 yards. He got over 100 yards receiving, but
Yep.
he's due for a touchdown. Devonta Smith, he's showing like they're kind of battling between wide receiver number one, who's the next guy. Obviously, they're both teammates, they're both friends, they're both great guys. Let's go for AJ Brown, potentially having an absolute beast of a game. I'm taking the Eagles -8.5.
Well, I'm hoping so. I mean, I got AJ Brown on my fantasy. He has not been performing well at
Hmm.
all. I took him. He's my second pick, and he is killing me right now. Not performing, not performing as he should.
Yeah,
Last week he did well with his receiving yards, but I need that touchdown, man. I need him to
dude.
start working.
Yeah. All right. Next game. What do we have for next game?
Broncos versus Bears.
Uh,
Predicted
hold
to
on.
be the worst game of our time.
Hold on. Uh, sorry.
Yes, yes. I think this is going to be the worst game in history.
I don't
At
know
least
what
that's what's
other
predicted.
game. I'm so glad this is not this last year would have been the Thursday night football game. This would have been the prime time game. Like this game is gonna be awful, bro. Like
Yeah, people are saying this game's either going to go 0-0. It's going to be a tie, or it's going
yeah,
to end up 54-51.
right.
Um, I think I think it could go either way. I do think Russell Wilson's better than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
I do have the Broncos winning, and I do
Mhm.
have them covering as well. Justin Fields, man, like he gets a bad rap, but if you see him play, like his pocket awareness is bad. It's really bad. He doesn't see blitzes coming. He's fast on his feet. If he was able to see,
Yeah.
he just gets locked in downfield, and man, something needs to change with him quick. He needs to increase his awareness big time, or man, they might go winless.
I initially thought the Cardinals in the beginning of the season were gonna be the worst team in the league, but it's definitely looking like the Bears. Like you said, Justin Fields, he just hasn't gotten it. He hasn't gotten the thing. Everyone expected him to be the MVP this year. I think he was the highest projected, most betted on player to be on the MVP, but he's been absolutely atrocious. It's been awful. I agree with you, Russell Wilson, Broncos country. Let's ride. He's a cringy guy. He's
Yeah,
awful. He's not great, but he's better than Justin Fields. So I agree. Let's take
definitely,
Broncos. All
definitely.
right, next game we got the Ravens versus the Browns. I'm gonna take the Browns money line. Now, obviously Chubb, he had a horrible injury that looked season ending to me, career ending to me potentially. I think what I last read was that he might come back. He's gonna take him the whole season. I'm
Yeah,
gonna take the Broncos. Let's look for a high passing game. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game as well between both teams. Let's go. Let's go Browns.
Browns. Okay, I have Ravens here.
Mm,
Um, I think they're a better team. Um, I just see them performing better. Um, if we just look at quarterback versus quarterback, like Deshaun Watson, I don't know if he's had a game that's really stood out as showing, you know, that he's deserving of getting paid what he's being paid.
yeah.
Lamar Jackson, he works on his feet. I think he's better quarterback. Coaching, you could look at coaching as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
I'm taking Ravens here, man. I'm not sure about the spread or how that's going to go, but I do think the Ravens are going to pull this game off.
okay. Let's see. Next game, we got the Bengals versus the Titans. I think we might both be in agreement. I think the Bengals are going to carry the momentum against the wins versus the Rams. Hopefully, Joe Burrow's coming back healthy. I was iffy about choosing Jamar Chase at number two. I think he was projected number two in fantasy. I was iffy about that after that Joe Burrow injury. He's got a history of injuries. So let's see. He had a big injury in practice, and then he was previously out for a 2020 season with a meniscus tear. So he's had a whole lot of injuries. And then I think back in college as well, when he was playing with Ohio State, was it? He had a huge injury, so he's definitely been injured a lot. Their offensive line hasn't been fantastic. He's gotten sacked quite a lot, but I think if he gets it rolling, he gets it going, they should be the same Bengals that they were last year. Absolutely hot offense. Give me the Bengals versus the Titans.
I'm there too. I'm thinking Bengals versus Titans. They've had a rough start, the Bengals,
Mhm.
coming into this, starting this season. Really rough first two games. I mean, even their win against the Rams. I mean, it wasn't fantastic.
Mhm.
T Higgins on my fantasy, he didn't have much going on. Much more than their first game, of course, but
Mhm.
they're coming into it. They're getting a little momentum, like you had mentioned. I think they'll take the Titans.
Titans. Okay. So let's see. Next game, we got the Raiders versus the Chargers. Now, I think last time we were watching the Raiders, they were the primetime game against the Steelers. Me and you were texting back and forth. Somehow, some reason, they chose to go for the field goal instead of the touchdown on that fourth and goal, or sorry, fourth and one. They lost that game horrible at home against the Steelers, against the struggling Steelers. So it's like,
You know,
what's going on?
for how baffling of a decision that was
Yeah,
perfect for me because I just needed a couple more points to hit my over,
yeah,
and
okay.
he did that for me. So I
Yeah,
was
there
I
you
was
go.
totally fine with that decision.
Yeah. So I think the Chargers are off to a hot start. Keenan Allen, who's a wide receiver, threw for a touchdown last game. He had, I think, over 200 yards receiving. He's definitely gonna have a hot game against the struggling Raiders. Devontae Adams. He's unfortunately got traded to the Raiders. I think he's gonna make a huge mistake. He made a huge mistake doing that. So let's go with the Chargers minus 5.5.
I have Chargers here as well. Better team, better offense. Their defense has struggles, but I mean Justin Herbert. I mean you can't just say that he's top 10 quarterbacks right now, top five easily. Um, he's another case with like Kirk Cousins where he puts
Mhm.
up routinely really high passing numbers and they still find a way to lose games because they don't have a
Yeah.
defense that can stop points from getting on the board. Um, but in this case against the Raiders, I definitely have the Chargers winning this.
Okay. What do we have for the next game?
Patriots versus Cowboys.
Ooh.
Now, Cowboys coming off of a really rough loss on the road to the Cardinals. Um, this was a game that everybody felt pretty sure about. Aside from the Chiefs and the Bears game, this
Mhm.
was the game that everybody was pretty sure about last week. Um, Cardinals pulling off the upset. I didn't see the Cardinals as winning this game, but I
Mhm.
knew they'd keep it competitive. You just look at the last two games that they've had against the Commanders. They could have easily won that game if they finished it against the
Okay.
Giants. They should have won that game if they finished it. The Cowboys, I mean, they came out swinging. They kept the lead during the whole game and they finished the game. So I think Cardinals are a better team than people give them credit for.
Yeah.
Cowboys, they just didn't perform. They did not look great. Pollard didn't
Mm.
open up like he should have. Didn't look great. But rebounding from that, I believe this is a home game as well for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I definitely see them taking this against the Patriots, who are now 1-2.
Yeah. So I agree. I think the Cowboys are definitely going to have a statement game. Uh, look for a comeback win against a very embarrassing loss against the Cardinals. The Cardinals, who were, I think, projected to be underdogs in every single game this off season now, or this season. Now we're both Arizona natives. We
Yep.
both have family and friends that are Cardinals fans, and people tend to discount the Cardinals. They're back and forth as well. They're definitely not the greatest team. They've had a rocky start. They got our old defensive coach Ganondorf
Yep.
as their head coach.
Yep.
So he somehow had a great showing for the Cowboy against the Cowboys. Dobbs absolutely popped off, and they beat the Cowboys, which
I
I
don't.
can't be mad about. We can't be mad about,
I
right?
I can't be mad about that at all. And I mean, I've been trying
Exactly.
to trying to tell people this season that the Cardinals aren't looking bad. Like if
Hmm.
you, and this leads into the next game we're going to talk about, Cardinals versus Niners.
Hmm.
If you
Yeah,
watch the Cardinals play, they're getting turnovers.
yeah,
They got a turnover in every game so far that they've played. The defense, Gannon has made that defense solid, and they haven't even played with Buda Baker yet, who's
dude.
injured. Um, so they're doing well. Dobbs, everybody was talking about him coming in as the nail in the coffin for this season, as them taking it, but he's been working,
Yeah,
and he opens up with the run game. He's had several rushing touchdowns.
yeah,
He looks good.
definitely.
So I mean, I it sounds like you have Cowboys
Yeah.
for this game. So going into next game, Cardinals versus Niners. I don't see the Cardinals pulling off the win here. I
Mhm.
do see them covering that 14-point spread, though. I don't think
That
it's
is a
going to be a blowout.
huge spread. Huge spread.
It is.
Two
It is.
touchdowns.
And I don't see that happening. I think the Cardinals are going to keep it close. What do you think?
They're one of the last three teams remaining to still cover against the spread. So even though they've lost, they've still covered. Now, good teams win, great teams cover, and I think they're like you said, they're going to continue to cover plus 14. That's a
Yeah,
huge difference if
right.
Dobbs can keep it going. They are playing at San Francisco, but it's not too far of a leap from here to California. Obviously, the 49ers looking like the teams to beat. They're probably the top team in the league.
I agree.
Christian McCaffrey is gonna probably score a touchdown in this game. He's gotten so many touchdowns in a row. I
Yes,
think they're gonna keep it close. Plus 14. I'll take Cardinals plus 14.
that's where I'm at. Next game, Chiefs versus Jets. Who are you
Mm.
feeling here? If I have to
So I
ask,
think if you have to ask, it's definitely the Chiefs. I'm gonna go risky and take the Chiefs. On FanDuel, they're minus 9.5. I think they can get anything going on the offense. The Jets have just been an absolute struggle. So obviously, Aaron Rodgers got hurt in a very unfortunate injury, potential season-ending injury, and we've got Zach Wilson who's starting, and he's just been struggling, man. So I had originally had the Jets defense. It's kind of hard to keep them on fantasy just because of how bad the Jets offense has been. Fortunately the defense has been out pretty often just because the Jets can't get anything going on offense. So obviously they're going to be struggling. Chiefs are the team to beat again. They're led by potentially the newest, greatest quarterback of all time, Patrick Mahomes. Like it's hard to argue against him. Travis Kelsey, who's recently potentially dating Taylor Swift, he's got a hot streak going on. So
don't even want to hear it.
it's gonna be a runaway game. I think so. Chiefs. I'll take Chiefs minus 9.5.
I'm taking Chiefs. I'm not confident enough to go with that 9.5.
Okay.
I think anything can happen. I do think Chiefs are going to win the game. But Jets may pull off a couple moves here and keep it a little closer than we think.
Okay. And then now the last game, the prime time game. We have the Seahawks versus your good old Giants.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with
Yes.
the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are the underdog. They're going into New York. I think they're gonna carry it off. They get a 2 week win streak. I like Geno Smith.
Hmm.
He had a really great inspirational speech. Uh, I like the Seahawks in this. I'm sorry, brother. I like the Seahawks.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. I do obviously have the Giants going into this game.
Yeah.
I think the Giants are kind of putting the pieces together finally with their offense. Andrew Thomas, left tackle, coming back from injury. Saquon Barkley likely coming back from injury as well. Getting these pieces back together is really going to help. The offensive line has been the biggest problem for them this whole season, along with the defense just not tackling. That's a separate issue. But offensive line is the problem. It sounds like they've finally worked out a starting lineup that's going to work. We'll see if it works out
We'll see.
this Monday. But Daniel Jones, he gets a lot of flack as well. If he has an offensive line that can hold back defenders for more than 2 seconds, that'll be great. I mean, right now he's pressured on about half of his dropbacks, which is, league high. Like, it's just unacceptable. So if he has a little bit of time, if they can open up the passing game with Jalen Hyatt, who's been underutilized, I definitely see them finally coming back, and they're going to beat the Seahawks here, and they're going to go 2-2. That's where I'm at. Giants money line.
Giants money line. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for our week. This is obviously we're in a continuation into the NFL season. This is our first podcast. We're just starting out. Our quality isn't that great. We're just starting this off. Like, we're back and forth, but we're gonna continue to get better. We're gonna continue with this season, see where it goes, see where it takes us. We'll do a following podcast once my boy's back from a little trip. Hopefully, sometime around Monday, Tuesday. We'll see what we can do. See where we ended up with our picks. Any parting words, Jacob?
No, that's it. It's going to be a blast. When we get back, we'll kind of debrief our picks and, talk about our thoughts going into the next week's games.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. This is Spitball Sports. My name is Brian. That handsome gentleman to my right's Jacob. Wait, right there, that way, opposite sides. That's Jacob. Thank you for joining us. I hope you guys have a great day. Goodbye.